Okay, so now that we have a main menu, let's start adding a menu to appear when our player dies. So I'm going to go back into level 1 here to use as an example. It doesn't really make too much of a difference, but I want to go in here because we're having a thing where our player is appearing at the end of the level, because we did that just to make it nice and easy. But let's start moving our player back to the start, where it makes a little bit more sense. So I'm just going to grab the player here. Actually, I'm not even going to grab him. I'm just going to move him back to position 0. Actually, where we'll move him back to is just kind of here like this. Now we'll just move him back to here, just on the ground here like this. That's fine. Okay, so we know that at the moment what happens when our player loses all his lives is we'll just demonstrate it here. So we walk over the edge, kill ourselves a couple of times. Actually, we still have the permanent background on. We need to turn back on the background holder. There we go, like that. So that's what I want to be using for the game at the moment, so we don't end up with these kind of blank areas to the side. But we kill ourselves one more time, and we got this great game over screen, and there's nothing we can do. So we're going to add some buttons down here, so that we can actually do some stuff with our game over screen. So let's activate the game over screen first. So to do that, we need to go to our canvas down here, and we got our game over screen. So let's activate that in the world, and we need to turn back our UI layers on. And our black screen is kind of in the way at the moment, so I'm just going to deactivate that because it's just getting in our way while we make some new stuff. So now we've got our game over screen here. So let's add some buttons to it. At the moment we have our image here like this, and it's been stretched to be full size when we maximize the game or whatever. Or the text, oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong thing. That's why I was getting confused there. So our text box here, yes, it's not being stretched to be full size. Our image is our black background, but our text box itself isn't being stretched. It's just being in the middle. So what we're going to do is go back to our scene view. I'm just going to move this box up a little bit like this. And then we're going to add some buttons. So UI button. I'm going to make sure that it's a child of game over screen here. And then I'm going to move it down just a little bit. And so this button, we're going to rename the button itself, and we're going to call this restart. And then on the text box we're going to add the label to say restart level, just to keep it nice and simple. Then we're going to duplicate that, drag it down here a little bit, and then we're going to add text to say level select, so that we know that we can go to the level select screen. And we'll just rename this object so we have the right name here too. And then we'll duplicate it one more time, drag it down to here, and then if we scroll down, we want to go to our text box here, and we're going to put the label here to say quit to main menu, and then we'll just rename this quit to main, just to keep it nice and simple. Okay, so we've got our 3 little buttons here. They're not quite centered at the moment, so I'm just going to highlight the 3 of them, switch to this view, and we're going to drag them so they're just kind of in the center of the screen, a bit like that. That looks a bit better. Okay, perfect. So now we need to give these buttons something to actually do. So let's create a new script for this that we'll just call our game over script. And we'll open this up here, and this is going to work in much the same way that our main menu script did. So what we're going to need is a couple of strings to use for the names of the levels that we're going to load up. So, or the name of the scenes we're going to load up. So public string, obviously we're going to need to load the level select, and then public string, we're going to also need to load the main menu. Okay, so let's create the 3 functions that we're going to use. So we have a public void restart, then we've got a public void level select, and then finally we've got a public void quit to main menu. Like that. Okay, so let's do the simplest one first. Our quit to main menu, all that is going to be is just loading straight to our main menu. So we will say we need to use our same manager again. So we need to use using up here, using Unity Engine dot scene management, and then down here we can just say scene manager. Oh, I lost it there for a second. Scene, nope, we'll get there, third time's the charm. Scene manager dot load scene. Okay, and then obviously the scene we want to load is our main menu. So perfect, that's all we need to do for that one. Then for our level select here, and for our restart, we're going to have to do something a little bit different. So on our restart, if we're going to restart the game, we obviously need to control how many lives our player has and how many coins we have. So we need to reset our coin count back to be 0. So let's do that first, nice and straightforward. Player prefs dot set int coin count should be 0. And then the next thing we need to do is reset how many lives our player has. So we would use our player prefs dot set int player lives, and then we need to decide how many lives we're going to give the player. Now we could create a new variable here to just assign how many player lives we should use, but we already have within our level, we have our level manager that tells us how many levels we should start off with, or how many lives we should start off with. So let's make use of that instead. So we're going to use a private level manager here, much like we've done many times before, that we'll call the level manager, only with one V. And then in our start function, we need to assign that obviously. So the level manager should be equal to find object of type level manager, like that, perfect. And then when we go to our player prefs set int down here, all we have to do is say the level manager dot starting lives. So that way we know the value we're setting to be our current player lives is how many lives we start off with. And then the next thing we want to do is we don't want to reload the player back to the previous checkpoint. So we don't want to just call the level manager dot respawn. What we actually want to do is start the whole level over again. Because if we don't do that, we're essentially just giving the player 3 free lives and they can continue on their way, which is kind of not a good kind of motivation to complete the level if you can just kind of die as many times as you want and you can keep continuing. You should get a little bit of a punishment and be sent back to the starting level. So to be sent back to the starting level, obviously the way we should do that is just reload the level. So what we can do is just say scene manager dot load scene. But then we need to decide what is the scene that we're going to load. So obviously this script is going to be reused over and over again, our game over script, and it's not going to be very sensible for us to add, say, a string in here for the current level, and then every time on every level of the game we need to set the current level name to be the exact right thing. Instead, what we can do is make it automatically get the name of whatever scene is currently loaded. And the way to do that is go into our scene manager dot get active scene, and we need to put an open and close bracket there, and then another one to close the first bracket, like that. And what that'll do is it'll say, okay, get whatever the name is of the currently active scene, and whatever that is, we will load that scene in the normal way that we do. So let's just test that out and make sure that that is working. So we're just going to save the game. I'm going to assign all our buttons, although our level select and our quit to main menu won't actually do anything for the moment. Oh, we've got a bit of an error here. Oh, what we actually have to do is we're not just getting the active scene, we actually need to get the name of the active scene. Because what this will do, this will get us a scene object. So it'll be, if we go back into Unity here, it'll be one of these kind of things. But what we want to do is get the name that's attached to that so that our scene manager knows the name of the scene to load. So it should actually be get active scene and then our brackets and then dot name, just like that. So we'll just save this and go back in, because of course we know that our scene manager is always trying to load a name in particular, not a whole object like this. That tells the scene manager what the object is that it should load, so it can't, like, it doesn't automatically know what the name of that is. So we'll assign our buttons here. So let's go to our game over screen and give that the game over script, like this. And then our level select, we know that should be level select. We might as well set these things here. And our main menu should be main space menu, because we've got a space there like that. And then we can apply this script to our buttons, much like we did on our main menu. So we'll drag that into the slot there. And then on our restart button, we're going to add the game over and restart function. So let's make this, let's check this out and see how this is working. So obviously we need to disable again the game over screen, because that shouldn't be showing up in the game as soon as we start. So we're going to play it here, and we're just going to kill ourselves a couple of times to make sure that everything's working okay. So we die, and then one last time. Okay, so we've got our game over screen. We've got all our buttons here like this. Like we had with the main menu, it's kind of hard to see if the button's been highlighted by the arrow. So we could make the same change again, but we won't do it for now just yet. But if we hit restart level, there we go. We get set back to the start of the game. So we're not getting set back to this checkpoint. We're sent back to the actual start. So let's actually just demonstrate that more clearly by going to the next checkpoint to make sure that we're not actually sent back to this one. So we'll just kill ourselves again. But our lives were being reset back to 3 just the way we wanted them to. So we know that's working fine for us. And just to demonstrate more clearly, when we restart the level, we're not getting sent back to this checkpoint. We get sent back all the way to wherever our player started off with. So perfect, that's working just the way we wanted to. So let's add some more code to handle our other stuff. So we have quit the main menu working fine, but we have level select here. So in our level select here, we want to do basically the exact same thing as we did when we restarted, because when we load into the level select, obviously we want our coins to be 0. And we want our player lives to be reset back to the default amount of player lives. We don't want to return to the level select with no lives for our player. So we're just going to copy this same bit of code here, just highlight it and copy it and paste it in there. And then obviously we need to load into our level select. So we'll do scene manager. Oh, that was the wrong thing there. Scene manager dot load scene, and the scene we want to load is level select. We hit our semicolon there like that, and that's all we need to add here. Then we have our game over script all kind of sorted and working just the way we want it to. So let's assign those buttons now so they're actually working. So on our game over screen, we'll reactivate it just so we can see everything properly, and then down on level select and quit to main, we're going to drag our, oh no, we didn't see that object there, hold on, let's just cancel that. We need to highlight these two again, scroll down our inspector, and then slide into the slot. Oh, we already did that, sorry, we already added that in, didn't we? No, so we just need to add the function. So game over, and then on level select we apply level select, and on quit to main here we'll apply quit to main menu, and that's basically all we need to do. So now that we've added these things, we want this to be working across all our levels. So obviously we're going to need to apply these changes. So let's just first of all deactivate our game over screen, and we'll reactivate black screen because we want to be able to have that working like it was before. And then we'll just hit this apply button, and it'll apply all the changes we just made to our level starter pack. There's one more thing we need to do before we thoroughly check how this is all working, and that's to make sure that if we go to build settings, that main menu here is added into build settings, or else if we hit the main menu button it won't be able to actually load that level. And I just moved main menu here up to the very top, and that's because when we build our actual game, we want main menu to be the first thing that actually loads in the game. So the game will load up whatever level you set to be the top up here, the game will load that one first. So we want to make sure that our main menu is the first screen that we get to, instead of being level 1. We don't want to jump straight into the game, we want to give the player some options. Okay, so we'll close out of that, and now we'll just test this out and make sure it's all working just the way we want it to. So what we can do now is just kill ourselves a couple of times here, and one more time, and we'll go back to the level select. So we've actually got a bit of an error occurring when we try to click any buttons now. Any of our buttons just aren't active. We can't actually click on any of them, and that's because of our canvas here, because of our black screen down here. So our black screen at the moment, because of the order of things here, it's actually in front of the game over screen. So if we were to drag it up here like this, so our game over screen is in front of the other one, Now if we go back in, we can click on restart and everything will work just the way we want. So we didn't have that happen when we were first testing it out, because our black screen was deactivated by default. So it's important to remember that the order of things within the canvas is actually important to how things will work in the game. So we can grab our black screen and make sure it's behind our game over screen, but still in front of our heart and our lives holder. So we'll hit play again and it'll all be working fine and dandy just the way we want it to. And if we kill ourselves, we'll be able to go back to our level select, and we should see that our game over screen now has been updated across all the other levels as well. So if we hit level select here, we go back to the start, and now if we were to kill ourselves in the level select area, and one more time, there we go, we've got our game over screen applied, so it's working across all our levels just the way we want it to. And if we hit quit the main menu, oh, we didn't apply that change to our level starter pack just yet, so it's still activated here. So let's just, while the game is running, we can do the same thing, and now we can hit quit the main menu and we're back to the main menu the way we were before. And we can go to continue game and go back into our level select, and our 2 levels are unlocked and level 3 is still locked. So perfect, that's just the way we wanted to. So now that we made those changes, let's apply them to the level starter pack. And actually on the main camera here, I'm just going to reactivate the background holder because we didn't apply that change. So we're going to apply that like that, and now it'll be working across all our levels equally within the game. Okay, so now that we've got our game over kind of menu stuff worked out, let's add one more thing to the game, which will be a pause menu.